In a secluded crater surrounded by towering ancient stones, the Emberlings made their home. They were not of flesh and bone, but of flame and spirit. Each flickered with life, their warmth lighting up the heart of the earth itself. Among them was Lyra, the youngest of all, her glow still gentle like the first flame of dawn. While the others danced around the great hearth, content and still, Lyra often wandered to the edge of the crater. She would look up at the rim where jagged rocks touched the sky and wonder what lay beyond them. Her thoughts were always filled with distant places and daring stories of storms, wild winds, and forests where no flame had yet walked. Elder Finton, the most ancient of the Emberlings, often found her there. His voice, deep and slow like old embers, always say the same thing. The world out there is not for us, little flame. Storms can snuff a light like yours in a blink. But Lyra's flame would flare a little brighter with each warning. For what was the use of a flame that never dared to burn? One night, the wind changed. It wasn't the soft breeze that sometimes slipped over the crater walls. It was sharp, cold, and urgent. The Emberlings hugged together as clouds gathered above, dark and heavy with storm. A roar echoed through the land. It was Zephyros, the storm spirit of the northern mountains, awakening with fury. Trees bent, rivers swelled, and the spirits of forest and water cried for help in the distance. Finton closed the hearth's shield and gathered the younger flames inside, but Lyra hesitated. She would feel the pull beyond the rim, a whisper, not of fear, but of purpose. She looked once more at the crater walls and then stepped beyond them. The cold wind slapped her small flame. The world outside was vast, dark, and alive. But her heart beat stronger than ever. She knew what she had to do. Through wind and sleet, Lyra moved carefully into the forest. It was quieter here, too quiet. The trees that once hummed with spirit song were wilted and dull. She came upon Mossroot, an ancient tree spirit with roots deep in memory and wisdom. He was slumped, his leaves blackened by rain, his bark cold to the touch. Lyra rushed forward. She tried to share her flame, pressing close, but the rain hissed against her efforts. Her flame sputtered, but her resolve did not. Again and again she tried. She shielded him with her tiny glow, blocking the wind with her own body. Finally, a flicker, a pulse, returned to Mossroot. A glow in his bark, a spark of life. She had rekindled him, not with strength, but with courage. The riverbanks has turned wild, overflowing waters crashed against stone. A spirit of the riverine, was tangled in the wreckage of fallen branches and fear. Lyra hesitated. Water was her natural foe. But she stepped forward, letting her flame hover low. She didn't try to burn, she tried to warm. She carefully melted the vines that trapped Riverine. The spirit shivered, then flowed free, dripping with light once more. Your warmth saved me, Riverine whispered, vanishing into the mist, but not without leaving behind a ripple of gratitude. By dusk, Lyra's flame was dim. She had given all she had. Still, she pressed onward, now in the highlands, where the earth was cracked and the air was dry. There she found Golemsa, a great stone golem slumped like a mountain. His eyes were dark, his limbs still. Lyra sat beside him, no more strength to give, only the quiet glow of persistence. Minutes passed, then hours, and then a pulse. A crack glowed orange, then another. Slowly, the stone giant awakened. Without words he stood. He did not speak, but bowed deeply to Lyra. Even the strongest could be moved by the smallest flame. The wind howled again. Zephyros returned. His fury doubled. The sky tore open with lightning. The earth trembled. But Lyra was not alone. Mossroot rose with towering branches and rooted feet. Riverine surged beside her, water swirling in rhythm. Golemsa stood like a living mountain. Zephyros bellowed, "Little flame, you dare stand against me?" Lyra did not flinch. "I do not stand alone." The battle raged, winds tore, water danced, stone blocked, and fire burned through the night. And in the heart of it all, Lyra's flame roared like never before. Not because it was shielded, but because it had grown through trial, pain, and persistence. Morning came like a breath of peace. The storm had passed. The forest stood tall again. The spirits returned to their homes. Life pulsed through the land. Lyra walked back to the crater, not as a timid flicker, but as a steady glowing light. Finton met her at the rim. He looked upon her not with scolding, but with deep pride. "Your flame once flickered, now it roars," he said. Lyra smiled, "Because I let it burn beyond the walls." The crater was never the same again, and one day, another small emberling stood where Lyra once did, looking up at the mountains, wondering what lay beyond. And so, the flame passed on, not by sheltering, but by sparkling the courage to grow. For we do not grow in comfort, we grow in the wild, in the wind, in the storm. And a flame tested burns eternal.